Mr. Nuts and Mr. Balls. Written by Richard P. Wiener.
Wait, by who? Richard P. Wiener.
Balls beat nuts any day of the week.
Hey, yo.
Don't be... I'm Mr. Dick.
Bro, come on!
Now, if only you could handle the farmer's cock for me, she adds. It keeps me up.
I'm sorry. What did he say? Handle the farmers, huh?
Blackcrosses, 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 crosses, Blackcrosses, team nauseous.
Oh, classic tomfoolery, guys.
Storytime with Tomfoolery presents Mr. Nuts and Mr. Balls.
Oh boy.
Written by Richard P. Wiener.
Wait, by who? Richard P. Wiener.
Written by Richard P. Wiener. Hello, I'm Mr. Nuts. You've got to be kidding. Why? What's your name? Mr. Balls. Oh, like that's any better.
Bro.
Of course it's better. Balls beat nuts any day of the week.
Hey, yo.
Don't be ridiculous. Nuts are delicious. No one wants to eat balls. Maybe not. But you can play with balls. And they can be as big as basketballs or as tiny as ping pong balls. Nuts are all the same size. Small. Untrue. Coconuts are quite large. And hairy. Hairy schmairy. They're boring. Balls come in tons of colours. Nuts are always the same dull colour. Brown.
Wait. What's that supposed to mean, huh? What? You're saying no brown nuts are a dull color, huh? I thought I was racially motivated, chat. I ain't gonna lie to you. But okay.
Nuts are always the same dull colour. Brown. Nuts are brown because they come from the earth. They are natural and nutritious. Who doesn't like a nice, salty nut?
Not gonna lie, the salty nuts. Okay. Alright. Oh, okay, for you say, man.
Anyone who's allergic, that's who. Have you ever heard of anyone allergic to balls? That's only because balls aren't natural. Most are probably made of rubber or nasty plastic.
Possibly.
But plastic is what gives balls their amazing variety. That's why they can be soft like beach balls or hard like baseballs.
Oh no.
And nuts can be chewy or crunchy. I, for one, would rather have some nice chewy nuts than rock-hard balls. Oh yeah, those nuts might be chewy now, but in a few years they'll be dried and shriveled. Nothing nastier than a sack of old nuts.
Yeah, you got that right, chat. You know what I mean? You know what, let me just stop before I say anything that can get clipped. Alright. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. We need to settle this once and for all. Agreed. Let's ask that guy over there. Yeah, let's do it. Hey, you. What's your name? I'm Mr. Dick.
Bro, come on! It was a nice, lighthearted, kind children's story, and now you have Mr. Dick. Why, huh? Come on!
The end.
You know what? So be it.
Mr. Nuts and Mr. Balls. Written by Richard P. Wiener.
Yeah, okay, we get tomfoolery. Yeah, Mr. Nuts and Mr. Balls. JCS?
Story time with Tomfoolery.
Hey, good JCS videos? I got a couple of videos to
Mr.
watch.
Testy.
Mr.
A Gonad the Barbarian Adventure.
Let's watch this.
Written by Paul Eldridge. This is the delightful tale of Mr. Testy. Today, Mr. Testy is visiting Jollytown. Mr. Testy doesn't really like Jollytown. That's because most of the time, Mr. Testy is an angry little bastard. As Mr. Testy walks through Jollytown, some of the local townsfolk start to point at Mr. Testy, and then they start to laugh at him. This makes Mr. Testy ever so slightly, well, testy. Mr. Testy walks over to the townsfolk, raises his mighty weapon high above his head and says, "Mock me, and I shall smite thee." Much to Mr. Testy's surprise, the townfolk continue to point, and then begin to laugh even harder. This makes Mr. Testy very angry. So Mr. Testy decides to teach these cheeky twats a lesson, and kicks them all soundly in the testicles.
Bro, what?
"Oh, hello there. What's going on here, then?" says a voice. Mr. Testy turns around to see the Bishop of Jollytown. He seems rather interested in the kicking that Mr. Testy is administering to the townsfolk.
Yeah, it is. I think you catch on.
Ha ha ha! Starts to laugh the Bishop, as he too begins to point at Mr. Testy. "Look at the state of you," he says. "You're like a big hairy nut." Mr. Testy finds this inappropriate behavior from a member of the clergy rather irksome. Mr. Testy snatches the bishop's crook from him and tells the bishop that he should not mock him, or he will smite him such as his lord would do. The bishop continues to point and laugh with even more vigour. So Mr. Testy proceeds to bash the bishop. And not just once.
Yeah.
He bashes the bishop again and again and again and again.
Why British niggas?
Mr. Testy continues to bash the bishop.
You know, I don't want to make fun of like dialects or anything, but because I know like when British people say like a word like some words have like a UOR like color. It's like spelled COLUOR in the UK and shit. But when they actually say it, it sounds mad funny, bro. It's like color.
Until a throbbing purple lump rises all the way to the top of his silly hat. "Bad bishop," says Mr. Testy. "Bad, bad, bad bishop."
What the fuck is going on?
Mr. Testy decides to walk on further into Jollytown, even though he is beginning to think that the populace are actually rather insulting and not just playing silly buggers. Suddenly, Mr. Testy hears a lady scream. "Help, help," she screams. The lady runs around with her arms in the air. "He's grabbing my melons," she screams, as a naughty monkey grasps a pair of the fruit from her fruits and vegetables market stall.
Whoa.
"Ooh, ooh, ooh," laughs the monkey as he begins jerking on a gherkin.
Jerking on a gherkin.
Mr. Testy finds that this naughty monkey's rude behavior vexes him greatly. The monkey is very fast and tries to run away with his loot, but he's not faster than a vexed Mr. Testy, who grabs the naughty monkey firmly in both hands and bends him over his knee. "Naughty monkey," says Mr. Testy. "Naughty, naughty monkey," he says, as he spanks the monkey so hard that his bottom becomes bright red and very sore indeed. "Yes," says the lady excitedly. "Spank that monkey," she says with glee. "Faster, faster, faster. Spank him hard," she screams with a saucy glint in her eye.
I have no words. I have honestly no words at all.
"Thank you," says the lady as Mr. Testy releases the punished primate. "Now, if only you could handle the farmer's cock for me," she adds. "It keeps me up."
I'm sorry. What did he say? Handle the farmer's, huh? Run that back a little bit. Handle their what?
"You could handle the farmer's cock for me," she adds. "It keeps me up at night and gives me no rest whatsoever. she continues to say
Oh,
as
yeah.
Mr. Testy begins to become a little dismayed.
Bro.
It crows all day and all night long, not just in the morning, says the lady, much to Mr. Testy's relief. Thinking that maybe the lady will put out, Mr. Testy goes to see the farmer and asks him if he can keep his cock quiet. The farmer points and laughs at Mr. Testy just like the other townsfolk did. So Mr. Testy punches him in the face and smacks his bitch-ass fat farmer's butt to the curb.
Why is
The farmer's cock is not hard for Mr. Testy to find, because he is constantly crowing, and Mr. Testy realizes that the lady was right. It is really, really clucking annoying. Mr. Testy grabs the farmer's cock around its scrawny, squawking neck, and with a nice firm grip, he chokes that chicken. Chokes him hard, shutting that little shit up good and proper. The lady says thank you to Mr. Testy, but doesn't give him any. Mr. Testy takes umbrage at this and storms off shouting some very naughty words. Mr. Testy has really had enough of Jollytown now and feels like leaving. As he walks to the road out of town, more of the townsfolk point and laugh at Mr. Testy, which perturbs him somewhat more. After bashing the bishop, spanking the monkey and choking the chicken, Mr. Testy thinks this lot really are taking the piss. So Mr. Testy decides that maybe he will not leave Jollytown quite just yet, and he turns to address the mocking townsfolk. Oh, shut the fuck up, you fucking piss-taking bunch of fucking fuckers!
Colorful language!
Mr. Testy, using some rather inappropriate language for a children's book.
That's what I'm saying.
What Mr. Testy really wants to do, he thinks to himself, is give this lot of ungrateful fucking wankers a damn good kicking. And do you know what Mr. Testy did then? He firmly grasped his mighty weapon, flexed his toes in his best kicking boots, and began to smile. Mr. Testy.
So what's the moral of the story here? I'm trying to figure that out. What's the moral of the story here? I don't... You know, you get roasted by the whole townspeople, you just smile. That's it. Whatever.